All right, guys, welcome to this training with me, Colter, former top producing team member for 6 years. I got to a place where I was writing 232 life insurance applications every single year as a team member with over $100,000 in submitted annual life insurance premium. I wasn't just selling life insurance. I was also selling auto and home insurance as well as supplemental health products, doing decent in each of those areas as well. But as far as selling life insurance, just to give you an idea of where I was writing all of these policies before we get into this training today, I was writing policies with new business acquisition, right? So I was quoting people's cars and their home policies, and I was writing life insurance with new business. But I also had this book of business that, we were servicing every day. And I was in a role where I was helping out and field those inbound calls where people are calling in to just need to service their policy. I was talking to our current customers in that way, and I'd sell life insurance there, but I'd also get proactive and start working our current book of business to go out, make outbound calls and write life insurance or even schedule life insurance review appointments. And so that kind of gives you an idea of where I was writing all of the life insurance. Again, I got to a place where I had systems, I had processes that I could just plug into that would predict my success. Writing 32 plus life insurance applications a year, if you do the math, that's 20 life insurance applications a month. And if you think about working days, I was at a point where I was writing one life insurance application on average every single day. And the reason I was able to do that was because of the strategy that I had. I think that was a big piece. I also think another piece to that was like I had skills that I had developed to essentially sell, right? I learned how to develop certain sales skills with understanding with what words I was choosing to use, understanding the way I was saying certain things in my tonality, but also communication skills and learning to, disarm the customer, disarm the prospect. And I think that was something that maybe was a little unique with me. Sales position was that I wasn't super conventional in the way that I was selling. I remember my whole sales career started as a door-to-door salesman. I was working for Vivint. 2016, I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I remember getting into training before I left and went and started knocking doors. I remember the training was really focused on you need to get inside the house because the likelihood of you closing the deal goes up significantly when you're in the house. And I remember trying early on in that summer, my first year selling, I remember trying really hard to get inside people's homes as quickly as I could. But I remember I couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. And now looking back, it was all a mindset thing, but I didn't do it in the conventional way that I was being taught, but I found a way to basically sell the security system on the doorstep. And now looking back, what I realized is it was an unconventional way for me to sell, and all the other reps that were having success, they were getting into the house and closing deals that way. I was selling everything on the doorstep, and it would get to the point where the prospect, they'd say, hey, you want to come inside and sit down, right? So I wasn't pushing myself in there, but I still found that approach that I was using, it was very non-pressured, right? I found that whether I realized it or not at the time, it was very unconventional in that I wasn't like this typical salesperson that they might have been used to. And now understanding what I was doing then is that I was always disarming the prospect. Instead of always closing the prospect, I was really just always disarming them and removing sales pressure from our conversation and really just positioning myself in a way where I could educate rather than sell, right? Where I could see if we could help them rather than try to push my product on them and help them. And I carried that into life insurance sales. And I understand that you're thinking like Colter, to write 232 plus life insurance applications every year, you've got to be like that pushy salesperson. You've got to steamroll people's objections and get really good at overcoming objections. But guys, that wasn't how I was doing it. I don't look back at my time selling all that life insurance. Oh my gosh, I was really good at overcoming objections because I wasn't getting objections. I was preventing them from happening in the first place. I was always disarming, and I never really felt like a salesperson, even though I was in the sales role, because of what I was doing up front, because of how I was getting into conversations with customers and how I was bringing up life insurance and educating them on the risk that they faced by having life insurance. And in turn, my solution carried weight because they could actually see what problem they were facing. And so looking back, it wasn't like I was super good at overcoming objections. I was really good at preventing them from happening in the first place. And I was really good at always disarming the prospect and my customers. It's to where I don't feel like I'm a salesperson. My customer, my prospect, they don't feel like they're being sold to either. And so I feel like that really gave me an advantage in insurance sales and in sales in general, is quote unquote that unconventional approach, but it started to work out for me. And now looking back, and now that I've really become a student of the game and really hired different sales trainers and sales coaches for myself, I've realized that the selling that I was doing door to door in insurance sales, it was a process and a sales approach, a strategy that actually went with human behavior rather than against it. And that really served me. And I hope to share a few things around a few different approaches that I was using to get that type of production. And so to preface, I think understanding the type of salesperson that I am will help you understand and be able to take these approaches I'm going to teach you today and actually go and implement them and start getting results. Start making more money than you ever have, writing more policies, but also helping protect people that you get to interact with, protect their financial futures from financial devastation. And so life insurance sales, let's talk about it. And I want to talk about it and talk about really two approaches to selling life insurance. We're going to call the first one the shotgun approach. And then the second approach, we're going to call the sniper approach. Now, let's define and clarify what these approaches are, just so you understand what I mean. So let's first start with the shotgun approach. To me, the shotgun approach is like the all or nothing approach, where I am going to cover every loan that you have. I'm going to cover and pay off your mortgage. I'm going to cover all of your student loans and all of your debts. I'm going to help you replace income for anywhere from 5 to 20 years. I'm going to help you pay for your funeral. And then everything else that you want me to cover, I'm going to help you with as far as selling you life insurance, right? It's like the full comprehensive need, the coverage that you need type approach, right? Many of us have maybe been taught this. And in fact, this is honestly what most of you are probably using in your life insurance sales is the shotgun approach, where you're going to cover every single need and not just one need. Like it's the all or nothing approach. So that's the shotgun approach. The sniper approach is very specific, right? It's where instead of covering every single need, we might pick one need that we choose to solve. Maybe it's just paying off a car loan, right? And even if they have a mortgage, we're just choosing to pay off the car loan. Or maybe they don't have a car loan, they have a mortgage, and we choose just to pay off the mortgage, pay final expenses, cover a young driver, cover a funeral for someone that's retired that has no debts and whatnot, right? Like we're picking one approach to sell life insurance. That's going to be the sniper approach. Now, you're probably wondering, that makes sense, Coulter, but the way I've been taught is to actually give my customers the coverage that they actually need. And so you choose to use the shotgun approach. In your mind, you don't even want to think about using the sniper approach because you feel that you're almost doing a disservice to your customer or your prospect by not giving them the full coverage that they need. And I want to challenge that today, because it's not that the shotgun approach is the only way to do it. And it's not that the sniper approach is the only way to do it. I think both approaches work really well and they both serve their purpose. And so instead of thinking, should I use the shotgun approach or should I use the sniper approach? I think you should start thinking how can I use both of them to help me and help the customer? Instead of which one should I use, it should be how can I use both of them? Because they both work and they both, in my honest opinion, they both serve their purpose. The question is when should I choose to use the shotgun approach and when should I choose to use the sniper approach in selling life insurance? Well, short answer is it depends. It depends on a couple of things. And before I go into the few different variables that I feel like it depends on, I want you to just think a little bit deeper and really put yourself in your customer's shoes, in your prospect's shoes. Look through their lens, okay? So let's first start with a couple different variables, right? So should I use the shotgun approach or the sniper approach when I have a current customer? So they're already a customer of yours and they're calling into your office, and maybe you're in a role where you're a service position. So you pick up that phone call and you help take care of whatever they're calling in for. A few different things might be like making a payment. Maybe they have questions about their bill. Maybe they're calling in to add a new vehicle that they just purchased. Maybe they're calling in to remove a driver, right? What are the different reasons that your current customers are calling into your office? Let's start there. Should I use the shotgun approach to selling life insurance with people that are calling in to say, add a vehicle to their insurance, or should I use more of a sniper approach? It depends. I want you to think about this. If you put yourself in your customer's shoes, you just purchased a new vehicle and you're calling into Coulter's agency to get that vehicle added to your insurance. Think about this, like your call into Coulter's agency, it's to add the new vehicle that you just purchased. So what are you thinking about before you call and when you call into Coulter's office? You're thinking about getting insurance on your new. How long do you think are you expecting that to maybe take with Coulter? I would argue maybe like 30 seconds to a minute, maybe not very long. Maybe let's say under 5 minutes. And so if you're thinking that it's going to only take under 5 minutes, but I decide to go into the shotgun approach that's going to take 15 minutes of your time, so 3 times as long as what you were expecting just adding the car to take, what kind of experience, what's going to happen in your mind if I'm taking way too long and it's not even about the main reason that you called into my office for, right? From experience, sometimes it can trigger sales resistance, right? It's an easy out because you were calling in to add your new vehicle and that's all you wanted to take care of today with me. You didn't call in to get this big old life insurance presentation. So I think it can trigger sales resistance, but it also is just an easy way for you to just say, Coulter, I'm good. Just get me my car added. We can maybe talk about this later. But it's hard for you to be able to like be there and actually listen to this life insurance presentation because you weren't expecting the call to be that long and you weren't calling in to talk about life insurance. You were calling to talk about your car insurance. And so instead of this shotgun approach, maybe try the sniper approach when people call in to add or replace their vehicles. Cover one immediate need with a sniper approach with life insurance. And then maybe you get them a policy that pays off a loan on their car. Then what you can do is you can still use the shotgun approach, still give yourself and the customer the shot at getting the actual coverage that they need to cover their full need rather than just this one specific need. Maybe you use an onboarding review appointment. Or maybe when that life insurance policy issues, I can get you back into my office and I can review that coverage. Make sure that we added the vehicle correctly. It's got all of the coverages that you want and it's what you expect, but also review that life insurance policy that we did to pay off the loan on the car and now go into building that coverage out to maybe cover more of the other needs that you might have. Paying off the mortgage on your home, replacing income, covering final expenses, maybe leaving some money behind for kids, right? You think about it like that onboarding review in your mind, especially if me, the salesperson, basically lets you know that, hey, once this thing processes, I like to get you in and review this. It would take about 15 minutes. If I tell you it's going to take 15 minutes, I now have the proper expectation with you coming into my office that you're planning to give me at least 15 minutes. So you're not just sitting there trying to get me to stop talking, but you're actually listening because you've dedicated 15 minutes of your day with me. Whereas initially, when you called in to add that vehicle, you were maybe only thinking it was going to take under 5 minutes, not 20 minutes. Hoping that's making sense. What's up, guys? Real quick, just want to let you know, if you want to get in touch with me directly, here is a one way to do it. You can text me at 435-512-1647. Again, 435-512-1647. If you've got a question around pivoting, how can I pivot effectively, overcoming objections, or whatever topic that you feel like you could use help in right now, text me and we'll get you some resources over. We'll get you some trainings over. But also, if you want to get involved with us here at the Team Member Perspective and you want to plug into a community of high performers, of people that are playing at a really high level. If you want to get around those people and learn what they're doing and train with us and practice with us, please text me. We can get you some more details. Again, that phone number is 435-512-1647. Appreciate you and enjoy. I think, should I use the shotgun approach or the sniper approach? I think it depends on the interaction that you're having with your customers and prospects. Number one, like how much time do your customers and prospects expect what they're calling you for, what they're talking to you about? How long do they expect it to take? And I think if they expect it to be very quick and maybe more transactional, instead of this shotgun approach where you're going into this big, deep life insurance presentation, maybe just pick one need that you can solve and make it very simple and quick to mirror how they're calling you and how they're doing business with you in that specific moment. And then maybe when you cover that need, then use some sort of review appointment. Give yourself and the customer another shot at building that coverage out and covering more than one need and going more into a shotgun approach rather than just this sniper approach. Now, let's say that you are also in a position where like you do life insurance review appointments, where you've got current customers on your book of business that have life insurance and you're calling them to set up life insurance review appointments. If you're calling up to set these appointments, you can go into more of a shotgun approach because they know why they're coming in there. They're coming in to talk about life insurance, right? And it's an appointment. And so they expect to spend some time with you and they expect to be talking about life insurance. So it's not like you're triggering the sales resistance. It's like your expectations are aligned with what you're expecting to do in that appointment, but also what the customer and prospect is expecting from that appointment as well. And so again, biggest thing, do I use the sniper approach or the shotgun approach? My answer is use both. Why in the world would you not use both? But just be strategic with it, right? What you'll find is I know a lot of you are probably only using the shotgun approach. And my hope is that you're like, oh my gosh, I could try maybe just covering one immediate need rather than trying to solve every single need for them. Because if you're like me, when I first started as a team member, I was writing like 10 life insurance applications a year. But the approach that I was using to sell life insurance was the standard shotgun approach. It was like all or nothing. I'd go through this life needs analysis, making sure I'm getting all the coverage that they need. And what happens is we're getting into big death benefit. Yes, we're talking about the full comprehensive need, but what happens is the price is a lot higher. And because we're talking about all these different variables and all these different things that we need to pay off, and we need to replace income here and pay for funerals and maybe leave $50,000 for each kid, because it's like the nature of that conversation, it's a little bit more complex. There's a little bit more moving parts. The premium's a little bit higher. It's easy for customers and prospects to say, you know what, I need to think about this. Thank you for that information. It's also easy for them to say, I need to talk to my spouse. And they just really want to take this home and mull it over because they don't want to make a bad decision. They don't want to make the wrong decision. And it seems a little bit more of a bigger decision for them to make rather than one that they can make right there, then and there on the spot. It becomes complex. And when things become complex, customers and prospects don't end up buying. And you, the team member, get stuck in this endless loop of endless follow-ups to where nothing ever ends up happening. You don't sell any policies and your customers are left without any coverage in place. But instead, maybe you can try to use a sniper approach. Simplify it down, cover the one immediate need rather than the whole thing, but then use strategy on the back end, get them in for a review appointment and look to build that coverage out with them. And maybe you don't build that coverage out that first year after it's issued initially. Guess what you can do the second year? You invite them in and you review this policy again because their life's changing. They might want more coverage at that point. They might need more coverage and it just might be better timing for them. But at least from now until then, they have something in place to cover one immediate need. Now, the sniper approach, is it enough coverage for most people to get, say, a $100,000 policy just to pay off a loan on a car? Is that enough coverage for them? No. But is it something? Yes. I want you to think about all of the prospects and customers that you've interacted with recently over the last handful of days, handful of weeks. Think about them and their specific situation. If something happened to one of them, husband, wife, young driver, kid, if something happened to them, and let's say that they only had $100,000 of life insurance in place, would that help the family? Would it give the family some sort of space to actually mourn and try to figure out how to deal with not having this person in their life anymore, rather than having to do that on top of trying to, be thrown right into the financial struggle of not having their income anymore? Would $100,000 help them? I think it would, right? It's going to provide them space. Is it enough coverage? No, but does it at least do something? Yes. Does it get them something in place? Yes. Is it enough coverage? No. And so I want you to really think about the people that you've interacted with recently. If you got them $100,000 of life insurance to start, would it be such a bad thing? Would you be still thinking that you're doing this disservice for your customers and prospects by not giving them the full big picture? That even if you did give them the full big picture and try to cover every single need, they'd probably just tell you, hey, I need to talk to so-and-so, I need to think about it. And you end up in this endless follow-up and nothing changes for you. And more importantly, nothing changes for them and they're left unprotected with nothing in place. Like, which one is more of a disservice for your customer or prospect? not having anything, because it's like you're only going for the whole shotgun approach and covering every single need that they have, and you're just using that traditional approach because that's what you've been taught and that's the only thing that makes you feel good as a salesperson, and they end up not having anything in place. Or maybe you just simplify it down, cover one immediate need, knowing, yeah, it's probably not enough, but if something does happen, at least the loan's paid off on the car. That way, spouse and kids would never be in a position where they might have to be struggling to make those payments, like on top of trying to deal with losing you, right? And then you help them get something in place. Like, which one do you feel is more of a disservice? Either you get them the whole big picture, you don't get them anything at all, or maybe you just get them something started and then you can build that out as time goes on. What do you think about that? And so guys, to end, should I use the shotgun approach or the sniper approach? My answer is use both. Why would you not use both? Your life insurance production can be taken to a whole new level simply by understanding what approach you have to selling it in the first place. Tailor it to your specific customer's needs. I don't even like the words needs, because no one likes to be told what you need, but you're the expert. If you identify some sort of gap that you could have a small life insurance policy to cover that gap, start there. But then don't stop there. Get them into your office and do some sort of review appointment and give yourself a shot and the customer a shot to getting more coverage, and then meet with them every single year, because life changes. People's lives change. My life has changed a lot in the last year, right? People's lives change a lot in a year. And so I feel that if you write these small policies with this sniper approach and you just write them and forget about them, then I could see that might be a disservice to people. But at the end of the day, something is always better than nothing. But that is when I feel that it could be a disservice, is when you're just writing these small policies, forgetting about them, and never meeting or talking to these people again, right? The purpose of this is you solve an immediate need, but then you meet with them consistently, at least once a year, and at least offer them, make sure they know what coverage they have, and at least educate and offer them to get more coverage, to be more of a comprehensive plan. If you do that, both the sniper and shotgun approach will serve you and your customers and prospects extremely well. Hope this helps. And as always, appreciate you guys. Make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and there's usually like a little bell here if you're watching on YouTube. If you click that, you can get notifications every time we post a new training. And doing my best, I'm going to do about 2 of these a week just to bring as much value as I can, because these are all things that I wish I was taught earlier as a team member, that if I was taught them, I would have been able to go farther, faster. I would have been able to help more people protect their financial futures from devastation. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.